Kia ora, my name is Robbie and I'm another white man behind a desk. This week we're talking about the truth, the thing that Tom Cruise famously demanded.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
But it turns out Nicholson was right. We can't handle the truth. Especially if it's Tom Cruise's version of the truth. Because that involves aliens, hydrogen bombs, and being attacked by David Miscavige. Allegedly. Allegedly. I'm sure Scientology's great. But messing up your personal opinion with the truth, it doesn't feel good. Bertrand Russell said, "Whenever you find yourself getting angry about a difference of opinion, be on your guard. You will probably find that your belief is going beyond what the evidence warrants." And that's true, but there's still nothing worse than someone questioning your beliefs. Apart from a 22-year-old philosophy major quoting Bertrand Russell in a web series from his bedroom. I mean, that's clearly the worst. But questioning your beliefs is also bad, and that's what this episode's about. So, to make things easier, I am making a solemn promise that there will be kittens at the end of this video. Tiny adorable kittens with little kitten faces. Now I know what you're thinking, Robbie, this is the internet. I could just skip to the end of this video and see the kittens right now. Okay. Yes, but don't. So, if we're going to talk about lying politicians, let's start with Boris Johnson, England's biggest mistake since America.
Take back control. Take back control of huge sums of money, £350 million a week, and spend it on our priorities, such as the NHS.
Wrong! Not true. That is a dirty lie. Post-Brexit, you can't spend £350 million on the NHS. The UK gave money to the EU, but the EU also gave money back, which they don't keep sending you once you run away from them flipping the bird over both shoulders. Johnson might have gotten away with that lie, but then he plastered it on the side of a bus and drew it in Sharpie in the background of what I can only hope is about to be a terrible workplace accident. But a cross-party panel of UK lawmakers said the other side of the Brexit campaign told some porkies too, pointing out that George Osborne, who wanted to stay in the EU, had made a mistaken assertion when he said every household would be £4,300 a year worse off outside the EU by 2030. A mistaken assertion. It was a mistake. Like when I accidentally uploaded a picture to Tinder of me with a dog. Oh, you think that's my dog? Oh, what a terrible mistake that happened mistakenly. Osborne came up with his figure by taking the Treasury's estimate of how Brexit was going to ruin Britain's GDP. The Treasury estimate is the one on the right, the one that's much lower than all the others. He then used a low projection from within that already low estimate. That's pretty low. I mean, that's basically where Satan goes when he dies. That's so low, Nicki Minaj changed the cover of Anaconda saying, "I'm sorry I ever thought I could drop as low as George Osborne." That's so low it's damaging to political discourse. But misusing statistics is nothing new. Politicians have always done that. Here's John Key from 2011.
Well, look, I'd hate to get into a flaming row with one of our academics, but he's offering his view. I think any person that goes down to New Zealand...
He's a scientist, it's based on research. It's not just an opinion.
He's one academic, and like lawyers, I could provide you another one that would give you a counter view.
That is a weirdly honest description of politicians misleading people to get from a politician. That's like a shoe salesman cheerfully telling you about Nike slave labor as they put the Air Max onto your foot. I mean, it's useful information. I just didn't expect to hear it from you. And why are you smiling while you tell me? Politicians also love distracting away from statistics they don't like. When John Key was recently confronted with evidence that his 90-day trial policy's main effects were a decrease in dismissal costs and uncertainty about job security, he said,
I think even if you take the advice away from a moment and just put yourself in the shoes of, a business owner has 3 employees, is thinking about taking on the 4th one, you can't tell me the fact that they know the impact that one staff member that might not work out would have on their business, and you can't tell me that the fact that they might be able to sever that relationship within 90 days isn't a factor in allowing them to hire them.
You can't tell me if I make up a story, okay, and it's hard to tell things are worse in the story because I made it up. Things look better in the make-believe story, and I think at the end of the day, New Zealand's All Blacks growth. But again, this is nothing new. Politicians have always exaggerated and distracted away from stats they don't like. But the lies do seem to be getting bigger. Stephen Joyce implied wealth inequality wasn't growing. It is. Andrew Little said John Shewan hadn't asked for an apology. He had. Bill English said new parental leave legislation would cost $278 million. It would not. Now, the increase in lying might seem bad, but let's check back in with John.
But people are starting to lose faith in what politicians are saying. Well, I don't think that's right. I mean, for a start off, if you look at our numbers aren't moving in your TV1 poll or anything else.
So don't worry, everything's fine. It doesn't matter if people like all politicians less. The important thing is that people still like the National Party more than the other parties. It's fine if I suddenly hate my kids. What's important is that I still like Jimmy the most. But John Key is right. Both internationally and at home, politicians are telling bigger lies, and it doesn't seem to hurt them in the polls. For example, Trump. It's not as if journalists have stopped reporting these lies, so why aren't they affecting the polls? Andrea Vance on Media Watch said people might just not care anymore. Massey professor Bill Fish says one politician lying just makes people care about all politicians less. But the biggest problem seems to be that we're getting our news from social media. Politicians are getting away with lies because journalism isn't being regulated by the newspapers. It isn't even being regulated by Facebook. It's being regulated by us. We decide what gets shared, and we like to share things that are sensational and that affirm our opinion, whether or not they're true. People have built entire careers sitting on Facebook telling you what you already believe. I mean, it's not a career yet, but I'm working on it. Shareable content can be entertaining and affirming, but it isn't the whole truth, because the truth is boring and immense and complicated. The universe is a massive swirling kitchen sink, and we're just the ant that happened to crawl in, totally baffled and about to die. We don't think we can fix all of social media, but from now on we're going to do our bit. We'll include references in the thing below our videos, and we'll try to include opinions that make you uncomfortable. Back in season 1, instead of ISIS is just one group, representing an ongoing hatred that won't be eliminated through gunfire alone. We could have said,
ISIS are an abomination. Primarily they're a threat to people living in the Middle East, but they're also a threat to those of us who live in the West.
Instead of, it's not clear whether Newsworthy is supposed to be a comedy show or journalism. We could have said,
by creating strange situations with political figures, we can draw more people into the political discussion. You smug, pretentious son of a...
And instead of, let's be fair to Mark Weldon, even if he does definitely hate democracy and puppies. We could have said,
no comment.
And we want you to join us. Share things that are true, even if they're boring, or help a party you hate. Reference the things you put online. Ask other people to do the same. And I know what you're thinking. How can I ask people to reference their statuses without seeming like a dick? Well, don't worry, we already thought of that. You won't have to ask them. At least, not with words, because we've already made you a video. With cats. Hi there. I'm Robbie Nicol, and apparently you just shared something political on social media. Was it unreferenced? Or out of context? Don't worry. I'm from the internet too. So I'm going to tell you something with sincerity and confidence that has absolutely no basis in fact. With cats. 'Cause it's the internet. Did you know that kittens love references? Mr. Buttons gets very sad when you use an unrepresentative statistic, or only share graphics made by the National Party, or the Green Party, or the Labour Party, if anyone ever tells them about social media. Did you know if you don't reference the things you share online, kittens can die of a broken heart? Meow. Meow. Oh no, I'm dying. Why are you campaigning for a political party that isn't even paying? No. It's true. But hey, it's not too late. You can go back and attach a reference to that thing you shared, or read something from another point of view and allow their different opinion to colour yours with nuance. Because if you don't, you're murdering kittens. Trust me, I'm from the internet. Thanks for watching, and welcome back.